Good morning. Now it's time for, wow, a little too early, huh? I'm here with Happiness Q&A. I've gotten several questions over the last couple of weeks and I wanted to answer them. One, to help the people who are asking the questions. Maybe you can relate to those questions as well as show how the concepts I've mentioned in the last four or so videos can really help you address these issues. That it's not all just philosophical BS. Okay, so the first question I received, or at least it was for some advice, and that was regarding career opportunities. Someone had a job and they're being offered another one, and they're like, "Which should I take? You know, this job has this job has that, this job is very provides this, and my present job provides this." How do you make a decision, right? And when you're looking at two different situations, I think all of us have been in that situation, right? Like, which is the best? Which is the best? And the point of departure, where to start with those type of things, is to realize that the new concept, or at least the issue of one or the other, is a manufactured problem. It's not real. There's no issue here. Which is better. That's not the point. In When you walk into a grocery store and you see something on sale, you see two things, one's on sale, one's on the other. We're so caught up in which is best, we don't ask ourselves, do we really want to buy that detergent? Do we really need that bargain? Something's on sale. Well, oh, that's 50% off. If I wait, right, I'll lose the bargain. I got to buy it now. Our minds get so caught up in that point, we never ask ourselves, do we really need to buy it, right? Did I ever need a new sofa? That type of thing. So when it comes to career, and this is how I advise this person, is it's not about which job is better. It's about what you're trying to do. If your focus, what will make you truly happy, is spending time with your children, but the new job will force you to spend more time away, then you choose that. If you have a plan based on your existing role that will get you to save and make a certain amount of money, and that plan is definite, and that plan is clear to you, and the new job has a lot of questions like maybe, perhaps, perhaps not, or even as you analyze it, you realize the new job doesn't. In other words, you need to know what you want. You have to keep a clear focus on that, because manufactured problems will distract you. For instance, looking at the news, I did this morning before this video to sort of help out. I was looking at Fox News, CNN, MSNBC or NBC News, and Al Jazeera, and I was looking for articles that were manufactured. What I mean by that is articles that, if I didn't read the article, if I didn't see the title, I wouldn't care. It's not an issue that's, let's say, critical to my life. For instance, there was one about the elderly epidemic, I think, in the United States, right? A lot of people are home, a lot of people are lonely. I'm not saying it's not a problem for them. What I mean is, had I not seen, one moment I saw that article, I was like, ooh, there's an issue in the world. And my heart went out and my mind started to think about this problem and empathizing, etc. Then I took a step back, practice being what it is, and said to myself, if I were to spend a lot of time trying to focus on this problem, when the problem was solved, would I feel any closer to where I need to be as a person? And the answer to that is no. It's like eating one cookie, right? You eat one cookie, but then you want another cookie. This never ends. Or you want money, you get $1,000. It never ends. You need $2,000. I'm not saying I don't focus on that issue, but the weight my brain gives it, right? The natural reaction my brain gives it is manufactured. That sense of indignation, that triggering, is false, right? As far as it relates to what I need to do, right? What's important to me, who I am as a person, right? It can still be an issue, but taking forefront in my mind is triggered. It's a manufactured response. My advice to this person was to think about your plan, where you're trying to be in a year. Look at how your present job put you in that position, and see if the new job, given what you know, put you in that position. It's about what you want and whether this helps you get there. Not, oh, there's an option, I have to consider them because one is the most important. No, you are the most important. What you're trying to accomplish is most important. And the irony is, through that analysis, you may figure out that the road you're on is the wrong one to begin with. So whether these two jobs, which is important, is best, may not be the solution. It may be something completely different. Right? And the key here, and the reason you do this, is not because it's philosophically sound. It's because your goal is for you to be happy, not to be making decisions that perhaps aren't best for you, or making decisions because the world tells you. The world manufactures problems all the time. If you allow yourself to be distracted by one or the other, the cute balls in front of you or the cute lights hanging in front of you, you may not see, as I think there's deep sea fish that does that, uses light to attract a fish, that there's something behind you that's going to eat you. So the other question was very similar. It's related to studying. What should my research be? What research is going to get me the best job, for instance? And I'll answer it this way, like which, especially for those of you who are students, like what should my major be? What should my focus be? What should my thesis be on? That type of thing. And if you ask someone who in the, say, 1920s was working in a car, in a factory, right, building cars, if you had asked them when they were a child, say 20 years previously, when cars weren't being manufactured in such a way, they wouldn't have told you, I'm going to study automobile engineering, or I'm going to be an automobile mechanic, or I'm going to be building cars. The opportunity just came up. You can't foresee the future in such a way. But if you equip yourself to be the best you can be, to have passion, you may find a new problem or find a new solution or find something new that people never thought about. So at the same time, though, you can't be thinking to yourself, I got to find something new. I've got to find something new. That's you really can't. Everything that is around us now, like this headset or this plastic bottle or got this microphone that's sitting right here. These are all things, looking at it now, makes perfect sense. They're intuitive solutions to problems in my life. So I'm thinking, how could this not have been invented? But imagine a world without them. You don't think you need it. You don't know you need it, so to speak, or whatever. So I guess my point is, think about a problem that, well, first there's a practical way and there's the philosophical way. The philosophical way is to figure out what you want to study, what you're really passionate about, something that you're not just interested in, but something that you want to work towards, some area you want to create in, right? Create something new, because that newness may be valuable to someone, right? You may be interested in science and you want to find something new, solve a problem. Go and try to find an area where you naturally want to go and solve problems, because it's the solutions to problems that people want, right? When you think of a problem, what are you thinking of? I want a solution. When something happens in your life, sadness or depression or whatever it happens to be, you're looking for a solution. So if you're someone who's passionately going out and finding solutions, you're more than likely to find someone who could use that solution you want. Which leads to the second one, which is the practical one. When I was in college, I'll give you a story. When I was in college, the big thing was computer science. Get into computer science. And I thought about it for like half a minute and realized I didn't care for computer science. I love computers, but not studying them. It's not interesting. So a part of me, when I decided not to do that, thought, I'm making a big mistake. I might not be able to find a job out of college. And another friend, older man, who already graduated, was an alumni of the school, said to me, maybe I should study Russian, Japanese, and economics, because the world is changing. Japan was the economic power at the time. Russia was just coming out of its sort of transformation, I guess you'd say. It was starting to transform itself again in various interesting ways. And economics, money, etc. And I thought, yeah, maybe I should study that. Again, as you can see, there's a theme here. There's manufactured things. There's people are bringing to me information, which is useful. But my brain grabs it and goes, yeah, that's the future. I've got to think about that. Or, if I don't make a decision, I might lose a job or may not get a job out of college. And at the end of the day, I got a job out of college. A lot of people do, right? You figure it out. You look for problems to solve. You look for things that interest you. You do them really well, whether that's studying or whether that's meeting people and being personable and making friends. You find something, right? And that something speaks to you, and you learn about yourself. You learn what you do and don't like, and you start to grow, and you start to find yourself, and you start to find things you excel at, and it builds. So a lot of times this manufactured concept makes you think, I have to do this or I'll never be successful. Or I must do this or I must buy this. And you have to step back and say, what am I trying for, right? What am I good at, right? Am I good at economics? Am I good at these type of things? No. I'm good at being nice to people. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at listening sometimes. I'm good at trying to problem solve emotional and sometimes very practical problems. practice these things, and you get a job doing what you're good at, right? That's what happens if you don't get lost in these things. So, to the students looking for something to study, one, find what you're passionate about, right? Passionate about that is something that you're passionate about where you also want to solve problems, right? And so work towards that. And also think about what other people's problems happen to be. What are the problems in the world you want to solve, right? Um, as I said before, if you can solve, people are looking for people to solve problems. When you're trying to hire someone or date someone or marry someone, there's a problem in your life, loneliness, etc. And the last bit of advice was about someone asking about finding a partner. Should I get married? Should I not? Should I be single? And that's not a simple question to answer. I can't, I could spend days on this, and I don't want to do that. I just want to give you at least, gave them a response, but I want to give you some points to sort of help you if you're thinking, "Yeah, I'm lonely, right? I'm going to be lonely." And the fact you feel lonely or you feel confused, there's nothing wrong with that. That is normal. That is okay. That's your brain trying to work out on a problem. The question is it the right problem? So let's look at this for a minute. Whether to be married or not married, right? These concepts have an image, right? What is marriage? What does marriage look like to you? What does single life look like to you? And as I said before, and as I'm saying again, it's a false sort of comparison, because marriage, once you're in it, and I'll speak from experience, and I've been in them, they take on a life of their own, right? You can say, this is what I want my marriage to be, but once you're in it, it becomes its own thing. And sometimes your inability to understand you own this. This could be anything you want it to be, right? But is the problem, because you let your marriage be something that the world has told you it needs to be. That the false narratives say you've got to be this, and the wife does this, and the husband does this, or the two husbands, or the two wives, or whatever it happens to be these days. But and marriage is, the word is very loaded, right? So when you're sitting and thinking, okay, and loneliness is very loaded, because you can be single but not lonely. You know what I mean? You can be unmarried, but your life can be full of emotional and romantic and spiritual, experiences that make you feel very, you know, well, not alone, whatever the word of opposite of that happens to be. So, I mean, what is it you want? People say, I want the house, I want the wife, I want the. Are you sure? Because those words are loaded. So let's look at it this way. What makes you happy? So for instance, I'll use myself as if I break down what really makes me happy is feeling as if I'm solving people's problems, right? That I'm adding value, adding peace and safety to people. Now, if I were to let my mind run, I'd say, yeah, I want to be a dad, I want to be a father, I want to be a husband. But I don't necessarily have to be those things to do that. I could be a mentor. I could adopt children. I could find a partner and do that. I don't need to be married. I don't need to be this. I can still be single and do these type of things. The world will tell me, what happens when you die, what happens to your, what happens to your sense of security and all these type of things. And that's true. If I'm not married, or especially if I'm a woman, what are my security? What keeps me safe? True question. Those are questions you need to think about. But is marriage that solution, right? If you're an independently wealthy woman, you don't have that issue, right? Or if you're someone who saved a lot of money, maybe it's not something you need to be thinking about, right? You need to think, do I have what I need? Not what people are telling me I need, but do I have what I need, right? For your goals. Not what I need because people are telling me the opposite. Like, you could be defensive, for instance. I should mention this. When we're making a decision, sometimes we can get defensive and people will criticize us, right? And tell you, be careful, you shouldn't do this. And we get defensive going, no, I know what I want this. Defensiveness is also a false dichotomy. When someone criticizes you, right? Yeah, they're criticizing you. Maybe they're thinking you're an idiot, but doesn't mean you are. Doesn't mean you need to take it upon yourself to get angry with them or even respond, But when you are making a decision, it's good to think, am I making this because I want to, or am I defensive? I want to prove the world I'm right, right? And the world doesn't care whether you're right or wrong. You should care whether you're right or wrong. But anyway, I digress. In that situation, when you're thinking about, single or loneliness and these type of things, is what would make, is it a wife? No, it's not right now. What does a wife represent? There's someone who loves me more than anything in the world. Now, we all know from stories of our friends and our own experiences that just because someone's married to you doesn't mean they love you more than anything in the world. So having a wife doesn't solve that problem. Having a husband doesn't solve that problem. But being true to someone, right? Fulfilling someone, right? Having someone fulfill you, being a true friend, being someone that someone can't do without, so to speak, will allow for someone to love you more than anyone else in the world, right? And sometimes if you think, well, I'll get married, it'll work out. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But marriage isn't the solution. Being lonely isn't the solution. Being single isn't the solution. Doing what fulfills the needs of you towards your happiness is the solution. So, answering the question about singleness or marriage, it's not about one or the other, those two words. It's about what are the things that fulfill me, and can I get those things? How do I achieve those things in practical terms? There's always a shortcut. And the last example I use is a work one. At work, or in any job, sometimes there's a problem. There's a, data isn't available, or there's a risk somewhere in the business. And what people ask themselves is, or say, or I've seen in meetings all the time, we need to get a tool, a system, an application, something to automate this process. And what always happens, 90% of the time, the solution is implemented, but it doesn't work right. There's still so many problems. Because one, there will always be problems in the world, regardless of what happened. There will always be a problem. But second, we never thought about what is it we're trying to do. We have a problem, we respond. But what are we trying to do? Do we want to have a company where things are automated and where people feel like, it's just one touch, they get the information they need, and, information is shared amongst people seamlessly and quickly? What is that process? What's that look like before we go buying an application? So it's the same thing with marriage, or same thing with your job, or the same thing with what you study. Before you say, I'm going to buy this application, I'm going to study this, or I'm going to get this woman or this man, it's like, what am I trying to do? I want a life where I can wake up in the morning and there's someone who's looking at me who loves me, right? I want to be able to feel like on a daily basis I'm making someone happy. I don't need to be married or single or male or female or anything to do these things, right? I just need to say, okay, how can I practically do this with my, and that is going out, meeting people, being consistent, being trustworthy, listening, building trust, building need, right? Where someone needs you. And not in a false way, like, giving them money or sex or whatever that is, but really responding to people's needs in a sincere, honest way. And it works. But anyway, to get there, you have to find a way to not let this sudden information, sudden things trip you and create these false decisions you need to make. And the only decision you need to make is right here, right? Right here. Where am I going? How's this connected to the previous weeks? And this has been a very long video. Is one, what have you done in the past that's disrupted you? And a lot of us have done this. The first thing, I talked about, what is the problem? What is my behavior that I need to repair? And that is, sometimes when something happens, we get triggered. We make a decision or a life choice based on something that came to us, something that just came out of nowhere and created this feeling of, I must do something. When reality is, if that had never happened, you'd be on a different road. You may be focusing on yourself. So you need to say, okay, I've been making rash decisions. I need to know who I am, right? And then work towards that. Work towards being the best you can be. Practice. Have a friend help you. Meditate even, right? I meditate every single day, even when I don't have time. Irony is, I find that by doing it, I create more time in my day. My mind is clearer. I'm not reacting. I'm not triggered as often as I would be. And you start building yourself. You start building those skills. You start illustrating those skills in the market with people, friends, and family, and colleagues and whatnot. And you start to build confidence, and you start to build a following, and you start to build you. And the stronger you are, the more you can deal with the challenges, the inevitable ones that will come up in your life. So this has been my happiness Q&A. If you have any questions, by all means, feel free to text sales improvement at gmail.com, or just reach out to me on Facebook. Okay. With that, have a great week. Rainy day, but you can say have a good day on a rainy day.